This universe is not just a stage. Every moment, every encounter, every emotion follows a law. We live within that flow, and now we begin to uncover its truth together. Welcome to the law of the universe, where your consciousness begins to awaken. The true meaning of being betrayed by the one you trust. 1. Rethinking the expression. The common saying, being betrayed by the acts you trust, is often used when someone close to us leaves or betrays us. However, this expression essentially shifts the blame to others. If I had truly nurtured that person into someone trustworthy, they would never have harmed me. The reason betrayal occurs is because I left them in a state where they could not be trusted, yet still expected loyalty from them. The real question is not why did they betray me, but rather, how did I manage and guide them? Those in a higher position bear the responsibility of guiding those below them in the right direction. 2. The duration of the relationship and the leader's responsibility. If someone has been with me for 5, 10, or even 20 years, I must ask myself, what have I done for them during that time? Help does not merely mean financial aid. It means helping them become a complete human being. If, after many years, they remain stagnant or fall into hardship, it is the leader's fault. Without proper guidance, their mass, capability, and character will diminish over time, leading them to act out of base instincts. In such cases, betrayal is not a shock. It is a natural consequence. 3. When problems arise. If a subordinate leaves while slandering me or taking resources, it should be seen as a warning to myself, not an opportunity to harbor resentment. First, I must examine why they acted that way. And treating the incident as if it never happened will only invite greater troubles later. And the right approach is to identify the root cause and ensure it does not repeat. According to the laws of nature, if I have done nothing wrong, I will not suffer without cause. Thus, instead of blaming, I must focus on finding and correcting my own mistakes. 4. Life stages and growth cycles. Life operates in cycles. At each stage, one must grow in capability and character appropriate to that age. But if I remain stagnant at a certain stage, the cycle will return with a shock. And these shocks, whether in 1-year, 3-year, or 9-year intervals, become greater the longer stagnation persists. This principle applies not only to individuals, but also to families, companies, and nations. 5. The qualities required to lead people. Anyone in a position of leadership must actively cultivate the growth of their people. And the minimum training period is 3 years, during which the person should acquire the right mindset and habits. And 7 years deepens this training. 10 years brings it to completion. And giving money or hosting events is not truly helping. Real help means developing them into thinking, moral, and capable human beings. 6. The law of business and relationships. In business, customers should be seen as people, not as money. Calling customers kings while disregarding them when they cannot pay is hypocrisy. Even those who cause temporary loss should be treated with dignity. Doing so will ultimately bring greater returns and opportunities. This law applies equally in shops, companies, and all types of organizations. 7. Eliminating blame and focusing on self-development. The coming era is one of right law, GONG. In this age, those who blame others will receive no help from the natural order or higher forces. And when difficulty comes, I must find the cause within myself. Leading people requires that I first be mature myself. Otherwise, I will inevitably be harmed by those I lead. 8. Conclusion. The phrase, being betrayed by the one you trust, is ultimately an excuse to blame others. The true cause lies in my failure to nurture the other person into someone capable and upright. If I do not recognize and correct this, the same events will repeat. Those who lead must place moral and intellectual growth of their people above all else. Only then will betrayal disappear, and individuals, organizations, and society as a whole move toward mutual growth. Script summary. Being betrayed by the one you trust often hides a tendency to blame others. The real reason? I failed to help that person grow into someone truly trustworthy. A leader's role is to guide those under their care in the right way. If I don't, I will eventually pay the price. Betrayal is nature's way of saying, look at yourself, see where you went wrong. By choosing self-reflection over blame, we can ensure the same mistake is never repeated. Key summary: the true meaning of being betrayed by the one you trust. 1. The cause of betrayal. The saying, being betrayed by the acts you trust, is essentially blaming others. And betrayal happens because I did not nurture the person into someone truly trustworthy. Then, a leader has the duty to guide and manage those under their care in the right way. 2. The standard of responsibility. The longer someone has been with me, 5, 10, 20 years, the more I must ask, what have I done for them? A true help is not just about money. It is about fostering character and personal growth. And if, over time, they fail to grow and fall into hardship, it is the leader's fault. 3. How to respond when problems arise. If a subordinate leaves, slanders me, or takes resources, it is a wake-up call for me. Before blaming or forgiving, I must find my own mistakes and fix them. If I simply ignore the problem or pretend it never happened, greater trouble will follow. 4. Growth cycles and shocks. People and organizations have stages of growth, and if I fail to grow in line with my stage of life, shocks will come when the cycle turns. But in missing these growth steps, whether in 1-year, 3-year, or 9-year cycles, brings increasingly stronger impacts. Generally, this principle applies to individuals, families, companies, and nations. 5. How to lead people. Anyone leading others must provide at least 3 years of foundational training to develop character and skills. 3 years, foundation, 7 years, advanced, 10 years, mastery. Giving bonuses or perks is not real generosity. Helping someone become a complete human being is. 6. The law of business and relationships. In business, customers must be treated as people, not as money. Even customers who cause a loss should be treated with dignity. This will lead to greater rewards in the long run. And the same principle applies to any shop, company, or organization. 7. Conclusion. Betrayal is a message from nature to look at my own shortcomings. A leader must grow themselves first. Without this, they will inevitably pay a heavy price. Stop blaming others and focus on self-reflection. This is the path to growth for individuals, organizations, and society. This is the story based on the above, the articles, the axe, and the foot. In a quiet alley on the outskirts of Seoul, Han Soo Lee had been running a small hardware store for over 30 years. The shop bore the marks of time, and locals affectionately called him Uncle Han Soo, always trusting him for what they needed. 10 years ago, he had hired Min Soo, a young man struggling to make ends meet. Min Soo was quiet but diligent, and most of all, had clear, honest eyes. Han Soo took him in like a son, teaching him the tricks of the trade one by one. But his lessons mostly focused on practical skills, how to arrange goods, how to handle customers. He rarely spoke about deeper matters like how to treat people or build trust. Over the years, Min Soo became the backbone of the store, and Han Soo trusted him enough to put him in charge of major deals. Then one day, a call came from a supplier. "Mr. Han, the last payment hasn't come through." I spoke with Min Soo about it. Shocked, Han Soo looked for Min Soo, only to find he had quit the job and vanished. The money he had taken was equal to a year's income. That night, Han Soo sat alone in the darkened store, his chest burning. Betrayed by the one I trusted. Anger and emptiness kept him awake until dawn. A few days later, by chance, he attended a lecture at the local community center. The elderly speaker's opening words caught his attention. When you say you've been betrayed by the one you trust, you're really just blaming others. If that person could betray you, it's because you left them in that state. The words pierced Han Soo's heart. The speaker continued, "If you lead someone, you must help them grow into a person of character, not just teach them skills. Otherwise, no matter how many years you spend together, the relationship will eventually crumble." Han Soo thought back to his years with Min Soo. He had taught him how to work, but never walked with him in becoming a better person. Min Soo's departure was not pure betrayal. It was the result of Han Soo's own negligence. From that day on, Han Soo changed how he ran the store. With new staff, he began by asking, "Why are you doing this job? What kind of person do you want to become?" He encouraged them to see customer relationships as human connections, not just transactions. Sometimes they shared meals and life stories. When someone faced hardship, he offered guidance before offering money. A few years later, the shop was more vibrant than ever. Staff looked out for each other, and customers stayed to chat rather than just shop. Han-soo felt he had gained something far greater than sales figures. One spring day, a familiar face appeared at the door, Min-soo. With his head lowered, he said softly, "Boss, I'm sorry for what I did back then. Life's been hard since. I know I don't deserve to work here again, but I needed to apologize." Han-soo looked at him for a moment and smiled. "Min-soo, what you did taught me a great lesson. Because you left, I now see people differently and raise them differently. So, let's think of it as a lesson we both learned." Tears welled in Min-soo's eyes. Inside, Han-soo thought to himself, "Even betrayal and wounds can become the steps that help me grow." That evening, he closed the shop and looked up at the sky. The spring breeze was gentle. The wound on his foot, once caused by the axe he trusted, had long healed, and the road ahead was one where he would never make the same mistake again. Comment engagement prompts. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? What did you learn from it? When you experienced betrayal, how did you process and overcome it? If you're leading others now, what are you doing to help them grow?